You're watching Business Live. Tonight, the National Insurance Commission has finally increased the minimum capital requirement for categories of insurance players. Now, according to the Commission, all the firms would have up to 2021 to fully recapitalize. Now, George Affe has been going through a notice from the Commission and joins me in studio with more. So, George, can you give us a breakdown of the various amounts they have to recapitalize and the deadline?
So Daryl, let's first start with life and non-life insurance companies. You're looking at currently they have a capital of 15 million Ghana cedis, supposed to meet the new levels of 50 million Ghana cedis by 2021. Let's also come to the reinsurance firms. You're looking at from 40 million Ghana cedis to 125 million Ghana cedis. For those, what you talk about, insurance brokerage firms, that is from 300,000 to 500,000. So if you look in percentage terms, you're looking at more than 200% increase in capital requirement for all these various capital of various insurance players in the industry.
And so how are they supposed to meet the new capital requirement? And of course, do they have a deadline?
Well, the deadline is the June 2021. That is for the existing insurance firms. But just like what happened in the banking industry, we're looking at injection of fresh capitals and also moving some funds from your retained earnings into these new capital levels that you have to meet. The Commission is saying that you don't have to, again, bring in properties as a new level. So just like what happened in the banking sector, we are expecting them to bring in fresh capital or move funds from your retained earnings to actually support this new level.
All right. So talk to us about why this is very important. This is very crucial for the insurance industry.
Daryl, just like what happened in the banking sector, the concern is that most of these insurance firms don't have the required capital. So when time is due to actually meet your commitment after giving them the various paying and the monies and all the rest, some of them struggle to do that. So they believe that the time has come to up the capital so that they can actually play a bigger role in the insurance space in this country. You have a lot of them being foreigners. When the time is due, they cannot meet the requirement that they're supposed to meet. So at their capital levels, they're well capitalized. They can take on big transactions. They can also ensure that when the time is due, when I insure with Daryl Insurance and the time is due to meet the commitment to me as a policyholder, you will be able to do that.
And as we understand it, if they fail to meet the capital requirement, that means they are out of business?
Definitely. But the Insurance Commission also giving them, we have a timeline. So this year, you're supposed to submit your plan to the Commission. They're going to vet it. So they are going to actually walk them through several processes before we get to the June 2021 deadline. So during that period, if it's clear that you cannot meet it, there'll be several options, maybe to merge you or other things. But again, if you look at the process that they've outlined, it looks like they really want to help the players to recapitalize at these new levels.
Just before you go again, just remind us of the figures in terms of the increment.
So you're looking at more than 200% jump in the capital requirement. For the life and the non-life, they are jumping from 15 million Ghana cedis to almost 50 million Ghana cedis for those category of insurance policyholders. The reinsurance is going up by 125 million Ghana cedis. So these are the levels there. And if you want to look at the percentage terms, you're doing more than 200% jump for most of these categories of insurance players in the country.
All right, George Affe, thanks very much indeed. And I'm sure those details will be on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. You want to check that out tonight as we continue to update you on this. We'll talk about minimum capital requirements. The Bank of Ghana has assured it will engage all stakeholders in the savings and loan sector prior to making any changes to the current 15 million cedi capital requirement for the sector. A second Deputy Governor, Elsie Adoawaji, made this known at the annual general meeting of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies in Accra.
The increment of the minimum capital requirement for universal banks from 120 million cedis to 400 million cedis. The central bank is also moving to increase the capital requirement for the savings and loan sector as well. Some savings and loans companies have been severely affected due to the shake-up in the financial sector in 2018, which led to some panic withdrawals. Making an input on the development during an interview, Madam Elsie Awaji assured that any decision to be made by the central bank will be communicated first to the association.
We will take such a decision after consultation with stakeholders, including the institutions themselves and the sector. And as of now, we haven't increased the capital and we have not put out a proposal And so I believe that if at a certain point in time we believe that's the way forward, we would do that in consultation with the stakeholders.
But do we know when this consultation will end?
There are other things we're working on right now, so that's not what we're working on right now. If we believe that there's a need, I talked about repositioning the sector, and there are many options for repositioning the sector. If we believe that increasing the minimum capital is one such option, we would engage with the stakeholders and take a decision on that.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans, Kweku Diabechi, is advising the public, particularly its customers, to remain calm amidst the uneasiness in the financial sector.
We use this opportunity to admonish the public, especially the depositors, to remain calm, since it has been proven over the period by the actions and inactions of the central bank and the government that the protection of the depositor is of prime concern. There is no need to panic. Continue to do business with your preferred savings and loans company while paying loans contracted religiously. The contribution of the savings and loans industry to the economy cannot be overemphasized.
The association recorded an increase in its fund account for the year ending 2018 to 257,647 cedis from 206,784 the previous year. For Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Madam Elsie Awaji, has charged savings and loans companies to rebrand with innovative products to help drive the financial inclusion agenda. According to her, the current rate of financial inclusion stands at 52%, leaving more room for improvement.
Today, we're seeing that many traders and small-scale operators and those in the informal sector prefer to receive loans on their mobile money wallets. In fact, it's not even a matter of preference. They have no access otherwise. And so the market woman somewhere in the village is expecting a loan at 1 a.m. when you're all sleeping, and is dependent on that small loan at 1 a.m. in order to go and meet the train that brings the food at 3 a.m. in the morning, so that they can go to the market at 5 a.m. to serve their customers. Now, this should wake us all up. This should wake us all up, and I really hope that you take all of these into consideration. The world has changed. Our financial landscape is changing very fast, thanks to the role of technology and innovative ways of providing access, and savings and loans companies cannot be left out.
In other news tonight, the CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, says government is considering varied ways of ending the impasse between Nigerian retail traders and their Ghanaian counterparts. One of these measures will be to make Ghanaian retail traders more competitive on the market. Now, Mr. Grant was speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of the second day of the Ghana Trade Week, or China Trade Week rather, in Accra.
Spent the whole afternoon with the parliamentary parliamentary committee, for the Speaker's Committee of Parliament, that had the Committee on Trade and Investment, the Committee of Defense, to work out how these things work. I mean, how we can work these things out. It's an unfortunate situation, but at the end of the day, we want to see our Ghanaian enterprise grow. We want to see our Ghanaian investors and business people also grow. So that's the mindset which we are solving this problem, and it's not just a problem of the law. There are social implications, there are defense implications, there are international implications. So the committee that was formed a couple of months back to deal with it is also actively working to ensure that we can bring.
It's a matter of a lack of political will or ambiguity regarding the ECOWAS protocol.
No, it's not a question of lack of political will. I mean, government has met Guta quite a number of times, but they are not satisfied with what they are getting. But I'm saying the implications are many, and unfortunately, as I told you, otherwise I would have broken it down for you that there are many implications. It's not just a question of sack all foreigners there. For example, you sack all the foreigners in Ghanaian markets here. Do we know the number of Ghanaians working in Nigerian markets? We don't know. So if the Nigerians decide to retaliate, there is an implication that needs to be managed. There also are questions that Guta is asking of us that need to be answered and solved. So you're solving along many parameters, and that's what is created that impression. But government is serious about it. Government is looking at it. It became a big social problem.
Nigerian authorities seem to be very disturbed. Could this affect FDIs from that side?
From Nigeria, not quite. Not quite. I mean, we haven't seen it happen. We have had quite a number of requests from Nigerian investors looking at the Ghana market, but most of them are on actually manufacturing. They are not just only on the trading side. So we will. I think is a problem that we will solve. The solution may not be immediate, but it will be solved. But I guess the engagement with Guta itself is important to make sure that it's clear understanding on both sides.
So the latest update on this story is that the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association is giving government a 2-week ultimatum to stop foreigners engaged in retail trade, else it would take the law into its own hands to end the practice. Now, a spokesperson for the association, Francis Enum, says several calls on successive governments to apply the JIPC law, which forbids foreigners to do retail, has proven futile, and that it is time for the association to act on its own. Now, Mr. Enum also called on the police to release its members who have been arrested in Kumasi. He was speaking at a press conference in Accra.
As a result of the above, we, the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, we want to, 1, affirm our support to our brothers and sisters in Kumasi who have taken it upon themselves to defend the cause of freedom and enforce the rights in their business. We want also to register our displeasure towards that shameful speech by the so-called Nigerian professor, which has gone viral on social media. We also want to register our displeasure to the Nigerian High Commissioner for attacking our media for doing their rightful job. Inform government to act within a matter of 2 weeks, or the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association will take a destiny into our own hands to register our displeasure with the dormant approach taken by government toward this canker in our society. We want to put an emphasis on this. It is on record that the Ministry of Trade and Industry has consistently promised to crack the whip by setting up a task force to seize foreigners from retail trading. But this task force has not been able to live up to expectation. There has been several publications to deal with this foreigners issue, but all did not work out. Notable among this is a publication on the 12th of May 2017, where the Ministry of Trade issued a statement vowing to deal with foreigners trading in retail markets, but nothing came out from that. We want to draw government attention that these individuals who engage in retail trade are individuals who do not have SIN numbers, who do not have company registration certificate, who do not have business operation permit, which will result in non-payment of taxes. That's VAT, business operating permit, and other statutory obligations. This act results in the loss of massive revenue, which could help government to undertake development agenda.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUT, has also thrown its weight behind the action by its Ashanti Regional Branch. In a statement, GUT says failure by authorities to act has led to serious agitations by its members whose space is being occupied by illegal foreign operators. So behind me there is a press statement released by GUT, as you can see, essentially saying the Ghana Union of Traders Association wishes to declare its total support for the action taken by the Ashanti Regional Branch of the Union to stop the flouting of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, JIPC Act 865 of 2013, Section 27, 1A by some miscreant foreigners as the state responsible for monitoring and enforcement of the law totally failed to carry out their duties. It would be recalled that about 20 years ago, members of the trading community, especially our union, raised a red flag about the activities of some foreigners in retail trade and called on state authorities to sit up and effectively monitor and enforce the law governing retail trade in the country to avoid any future trouble for the country. but all the concerns were not heeded to. The failure by the authorities to act led to serious agitations by traders, especially our members whose space is being taken over by these illegal operators. So let me just go down a bit. So it says, owing to this failure of the state actors to effectively enforce the law, coupled with a lot of frustrations that the traders were going through, our members in Kumasi were compelled to take their destiny into their own hands and close foreigner shops about 8 months ago. Now, this has resulted in the formation of a quite recent committee on foreign trade by the Ministry of Trade and Industry to ensure that foreigners comply with the laws. The committee worked diligently and discovered a lot of fraudulent deals and other illegalities perpetrated by these foreigners, especially Nigerians living in Ghana. The said committee was supposed to present the report of its findings by 8 months on. Nothing has been said about it. So that's the statement coming from Guta on the issues ongoing. So essentially demanding that government presents a report of its findings 8 months ago on some illegalities they discovered investigating the activities of foreign retailers there. We're keeping eyes on that and what the response will be. But government has assured of its commitment to deal with the issue of foreigners trading in the retail markets. My colleague George Afe has been speaking to the Information Minister Kojo Ponkuma.
You are finding any person, be that person Ghanaian or otherwise, who is engaged in any activity that is not in consonance with our laws, whether it's a Ghanaian operating a shop where that shop ought not to be operated, or operating without a necessary fire license or FDA approvals, whatever, if it's an American, if it's a Nigerian, if it's a Chinese, what we have to encourage people to do is to make a report on those specifics to the appropriate authorities so that they deal with it. It is necessary so that we avoid a certain stereotyping of a particular group of people. Else we also run the risk of our citizens elsewhere being stereotyped. But we can deal with individual breaches on the face of those specific breaches, and that is what we must encourage.
Has the ECOWAS protocols and treaties tied governments and whatever right things that they want to do? Because we have appended our signature, free trade, we are trying to host the secretariat as well. These are all broader protocols that we've signed up to. And do you think that in trying to even enforce our laws, we've had our hands tied in doing that?
Our hands are not tied. We just have to understand that we work in a global ecosystem, and therefore we have to be very tactful whenever we are enforcing or going about any of these measures. And that's why I've encouraged that on specific by specific basis, you can pick a particular matter that this person is operating without a fire license, this person is operating contrary to FDA approvals for this particular line of business, this person is operating contrary to this particular, let's say, regulation. And the various agencies can deal with it. Save that, we are generally interested in applying the kind of protocols that we have signed and our domestic laws that don't derogate from those protocols.
In other news tonight, Head of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfrey Bokwin, has blamed the slow growth in the non-oil sector of the economy on the inability of government to allocate substantial funds for infrastructure projects. Now, according to Professor Bokwin, the country is likely to experience a non-growth if government doesn't pay attention to capital expenditure on infrastructure development. He was speaking at a lecture organized by Imani Ghana. He thinks Ghana will not have a bright future if expenditure on infrastructure is not taken care of appropriately.
The non-oil domestic growth for the year has not been encouraging as compared with the rate of growth experienced in the oil and gas sector. Professor Bokwin, who is also a fellow of Imani, believes the lack of investment in productive sectors which will generate more employment is a cause for the trend. Professor Bokwin was speaking on the country's debt sustainability after the IMF program.
Non-oil real sector has not responded the way we expect, and that is where the private sector essentially operates. And the reason is because of the lack of adequate investment. Capital spending. So once you are spending less in that area, you are not working hard to ease the restrictions on the growth drivers of that sector to be able, and that is the sector that can create jobs. When it comes to hydrocarbon production, oil and gas, the growth that is coming from there is not inclusive. It's not growth that is coming along with job creation, where a lot more people get employed and they can also pay their direct taxes and all of that. We are not seeing that. We are seeing more of jobless growth. We are seeing more of unbalanced growth, and that is not good enough.
He's therefore warning that high tax exemptions may have a negative effect on the country's growth.
The reality on the ground today that Ghana is losing excessively through these tax exemptions or tax expenditure generally. And it doesn't make. We are not the only people saying it. The development partners have talked about it. The IMF has talked about it. The World Bank has talked about it, and all of that. We cannot continue this way. These companies are in tax-paying position. Even with the VAT, that we seem to be making some gains from there. The efficiency level is very, very low, and also you can trace that to all kinds of exemptions that we grant here and there. Beyond a certain point, we want to look at the cost and then the benefit of doing those exemptions. And I think there's a compelling reason to take another look at those exemption regime.
Discussions have been heavy on the country's public debt and sustainability after the external credit facility program with the IMF.
Meanwhile, economist Professor Godfrey Bokpin is warning that Ghana could go again to the International Monetary Fund for credit facility support in the next 2 years if government fails to manage expenditure during the election year. Now, according to him, the country's debt ratio is reaching an unsustainable situation which must be dealt with immediately.
We don't have sufficient fiscal space, so any election-related expenses beyond certain level may be the reason why we go for our 17th IMF program. It's real. It's real because we have seen that the deficit tend to escalate in every election since 1992, with the exception of 2004 elections. It happened during under MPP, it happened under NDC as well. So even though we do agree, government will cite the Fiscal Responsibility Act that has capped the numerical value to 5% of GDP, but the issue is compliance. The issue is enforcement, because we used to have Bank of Ghana Act that allowed the central bank to do the deficit financing to the tune of 10% of government's total revenue, right? But we never respected that law. What makes us think that we will respect this one? And who is going to do the monitoring? Look, since 1992, the last 4 months of every competitive election, nobody monitors anything. No, I mean, the economy is just left. The guys are after votes, scattered all over the country. We get to see the real mess after the election. And we are all concerned for the 2020 election because the political temperature is already very high.
And that's Business Live tonight. We've got more of the daily stories on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Of course, you've got the latest on the annual general meeting by the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, where the second deputy governor, Elsie Awaji, has been speaking. You can read more about it on our website. Plus, what is big on Joy Business? That story we've been reporting today, our lead story for today, the fact that the NIC has increased the minimum capital requirement for insurance companies to 50 million cedis. You want to get updated on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.